Hello, welcome to the Ask a Christian podcast. I'm your host, Nate. Hello, Lou. Good morning. I'm just welcoming everyone. I was going to recap on yesterday's, I guess, drama. I mean, it's funny if you're like in the drama, but you don't know it because you're so not in the drama. So, let me recap this because it'll take, I think this will be about the shortest thing I have to say because it'll be super quick because I don't care. So, let's see. The biggest problem of my day is making sure everything actually works. Is it working? I think so. Okay, so I'm not going to address this with people because I don't want this to detract the entire day talking about nonsense. So, let's see. Yesterday, if anyone watched, it was a complete train wreck because that's what we do. Train wrecks are us. Train wrecks for Jesus. Okay, so, let's see. Many people, many Christians, had a problem with how, I guess I ended the day because of a myriad of reasons. So Christians have this thing. No one's actually said the repent word yet. Probably they haven't thought of that yet. They're still in fever pitch over yesterday. Anyway, so if you haven't watched, go watch yesterday. You'll see. Maybe you'll think I'm a bad guy too. Leave a comment. Let me know how bad I am. Anyway, so I just wanted to address this as kind of a teachable moment, maybe for me too. I'm not perfect. I can make mistakes. Maybe I made a mistake. I don't think so. It's kind of, I mean, if I made a mistake yesterday, I made a mistake every day, which is still possible, but this is standard operating procedure. So, yesterday there was this dude. He was not Christian. I don't know if he was a Hebrew Israelite or Unitarian or Oneness, or I don't know, but he was not Christian. And he wanted to, he was respectful. I don't think he was sincere. I do think he wanted to teach and preach, and convince us that we're all wrong and we need to be whatever he is. That's what I think. But he was respectful and he was polite and he would wait his turn when people would interrupt him, annoying as that was. I don't like it when people interrupt everyone. I catch myself sometimes. I'm like, oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have interrupted you. Likewise, I really don't like it when people do it to me. No one likes it. No one likes being interrupted. The reason we talk is to get something out of our heads into the world. So when people interrupt, it's like, well, I'm sorry. I mean, anyways. Did I lie? Is this gonna take the whole day right here? Okay, the point is, this guy was being polite. He was being respectful enough. So, we're having a conversation. He's like, hey, what about Corinthians? What about John? What about this? He was challenging all the verses, all of the Christian concept, the biblical Christian concept that Jesus is divine, that Jesus is God. And, all of his questions stemmed from that. It was a short enough and pleasant enough conversation because it was going like he would raise an objection, we would answer the objection. It was very ask and answer, kind of what we want. Anyway, so he's like, well, we're Jesus in Corinthians that says the Father will put into subjection all things unto him, he'll be subject, and Jesus will be subject to the Father. He was trying to get at Jesus is somehow inferior or a created being. I think he did say he believes Jesus is a created being, but Jesus is somehow inferior to the Father, being in subjection to the Father. And I explained that no, Christians for 2,000 years, and understand, by the way, if you just read the beginning of the chapter, so many of our answers are not from our amazing wisdom. It's from just reading the rest of the verses around the question. So this question is not an inferiority issue with Jesus. It stems from Paul is talking about the resurrection. That's the whole beginning of the chapter. So I think 16, 17 verses down is where it talks about putting everything into subjection under him and all things will be put back into subjection. So that was the crux of the first question. And I'm like, no, this does not mean Jesus is inferior and certainly not created at all. This is talking about the resurrection and perfect unity and harmony with the Father, quite the opposite of being inferior to the Father. And then he's like, well, what about John, I think it was John 6 somewhere, or John 9, I don't know, John 7 maybe, John 14, somewhere in John. Watch yesterday, you'll see. Anyway, so it was another thing, and it was talking about everything that Jesus, it was another example of Jesus is somehow being less than, or like inferior to, or created from the Father. Oh, that was it, from the Father. The Word of God comes from the Father. Maybe it was John 1 he was talking about, or that was later. But I'm like, no, from the Father, or of the Father, doesn't mean like, you could say everything's from the Father, or meaning like we are from the Father, like as in we were created, matter was created, the earth was created. You could say, well, yeah, that came from God, meaning he's our creator. But when it says Jesus came from God, that cannot be the way that is mentioned, because Jesus is the Word that existed. The Word was God, and the Word is with God. So Jesus cannot be from the Father the same way like you or I are created from the Father, because Jesus is God. if it said, hey, the earth is God, the earth is from the Father, well, I guess now you got to make sense of how the earth is God. But nothing says that. No one says that. But that's the kind of thing you would have to expect in order to make his case stand. So it didn't. Anyway, these were two simple questions, and it took about 10, 15 minutes to talk through. And, the Christians countered it with, well, look, you have to reconcile all the stuff you said, which is defeated in its own context. But, let's just give you some extra goodies. And this is Philippians 2:6. Jesus is God. Surprise, he's God. There you go. And then the Word is with God. The Word was God. Revelation 13. His name, robe dipped in blood. His name is called the Word of God. I haven't told you about the drama yet. So, trying to wrap up, thank you guys for your patience. To wrap up with the drama, that was that. And the guy's like, okay, I gotta go. I'm like, yeah, man, thanks for being here. I have to go too. Hopefully the questions were answered by someone sincerely listening in the audience. Maybe you. Maybe you're like, wow, Nate's pointing to the Bible verses. I should go look that up. Why is he talking about all this drama? Why is he crazy? Why does he look the way he does? Why am I watching this? Okay, enough self-deprecation. So then the guy's like, okay, well, thanks for your time. Of course we disagree. I'm like, yeah, of course we disagree. Of course we disagree. You disagree with God and the Bible, but sure. He's like, all right, well, thanks for being here. And then I'm not going to mention names, but you can watch yesterday. Someone wasn't necessarily behaving badly, but it is not with the ethos of the Ask a Christian room. So maybe it's the unpersonal touch and why I'm accused of being an emotionless robot, but I'm going to say it works in my favor on this one, because we don't need to assess exactly what kind of godless person, non-Christian, someone is. It doesn't matter. I don't care. I mean, I care as much as if they're like, hey, I'm coming from this. Can you help me? Can you explain this? Well, yes, I care. I talk about it. But for purposes of giving an inquisition to someone, I don't care. Like so many times in here, someone will come with Christians like fire, be like, hey, what about slavery? Hey, what about God kill this? And instead of just answering the question, which is fine, so many times Christians are like, oh yeah, well, you're a Muslim. What about this? Oh yeah, well, you're an atheist. Explain your worldview. Dude, we're literally here to be put in the hot seat. Which, by the way, explaining slavery and the stuff in the Christianity, it's not really a hot seat. There's plenty of reasonable answers if you're a reasonable person. You don't even have to agree with us, but if you're a reasonable person, you're like, oh, well, if that's the way it is, then okay, it makes sense. I still may not believe you're God, but okay, well, I guess I can't hate Christians for that today. But so many times Christians want to go, get triggered and go in the offense, like, oh, yeah, well, what about this? What about that? It's like, bro, ask a Christian. Answer the question. Anyway, so yesterday, the guy was trying to leave. He's like, thank you for your time. Goodbye. And some Christians like, well, hey, what's your view? What's your angle? Where are you coming from? I'm like, dude, why? Why? He's like, well, if you ask for my opinion, I want you to listen to it. I'm like, yes, that's fair. As a Christian who's the host and moderator, I completely disagree. Shout out, Greg. It was Greg. I'm like, as someone who completely disagrees with everything you say in your face, yes, that is fair. We did ask. I didn't. Someone did ask what your view is, so I guess it's the right thing to do to sit here and listen to you explain your view, because we, not me, someone, invited that up on us. So let's listen. So the guy gets about 10 seconds in, and he's constantly interrupted by additional Christians. I didn't do quotes. See, I stopped. I didn't do quotes. You can't see. You need to watch on YouTube. I caught myself. He was constantly interrupted by additional Christians, and the guy's like, how am I supposed to answer? You asked the question. You wanted to know this. I'm sitting here thinking, no, I didn't want to know this. The person who asked you what your view is, they probably don't even want to know this. But it was asked, so it's the right thing to do to let you hear your view. Anyway, so the drama comes when multiple Christians keep just interrupting this guy over and over and over. It is so obnoxious. It is the worst thing you can present yourself for Christianity. And then the rebuttal's like, if you think my attitude can affect their salvation, you're crazy. No one cares about that. If you are someone who believes in free will, and then you nuance that to where no one else believes free will the same way you do, if you truly believe that there is nothing you can do to affect someone's salvation, fine, that's not the issue. The issue is every part in the Bible that talks about being Christ-like, gentle, respect, don't compromise your convictions, but don't be a complete tool. So read all those Bible parts. That's the part we're talking about. So whether you can affect someone's salvation or not, let's just say you can't. Let's give them that. You can't affect anyone's salvation. So you can be the worst example of Christianity whatsoever, and if God wants to save you, God will save you. Nonetheless, follow your Bible. Do you believe the Bible? Yes, the Bible's the inherent, infallible, complete, inerrant word of God, infallible. Please act like it. Should you do it? Yeah. Do it. That's it. So, that's the drama. So I ended up having to help a couple Christians down to the audience, and because of that, there was some very unchristian-like behavior going on in chat, and I was getting like phone calls, I was getting back messages. It's like beep, 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 like all in my ears. You guys can't hear it. I did. So I'm like pushing buttons over here, and the guy monologued for like 10 minutes. Which, by the way, if you can see my face, I'm not happy. Like, when people monologue, I'm not happy. When I monologue, I'm not happy. I'm not happy right now. Anyways, this guy was doing a super long-form answer. I'm sitting here, like, face-palming. I'm like, dude, please, you said you had to leave. I have to leave. Everyone has to leave. Anyways, so, he's platforming heretics. He's platforming heretics. So, anyways, by the time the guy got done with whatever he was saying, I'm like, well, look, you said this. That's wrong. Here's the answer. You said this. That's wrong. Here's the answer. You said this. That's wrong. Here's the answer. Okay, thanks. Have a nice day. Bye. And then the rest of my text messages went crazy about all this other stuff, and there was like much wailing and gnashing of teeth in additional rooms about all this stuff and how Nate is bad and horrible and terrible. And anyway, that's where we are. That's the drama. So that is all I'm going to address. Someone was like, well, let's talk about it today. No, we're not talking about today. People are not changing their stripes. Short of divine intervention, no one's soul is going to be saved from godless heathens, and no Christian is going to behave better just because other Christians nag at them over and over and over. Well, maybe there are some, but I haven't really had that experience. But short of God doing this and God changing their hearts, and perhaps God's changed their hearts. Perhaps they're like, I keep trying and failing. I mean, well, not from the way I've understood them speaking, but perhaps some people are like, yes, God's changed my heart. I want to do better. This thing I want to do, I cannot do. Who will help us? Okay, well, at least that's a good heart. I haven't heard that, though. I think it's more like, yeah, we're right. We're going to keep doing this. That's bad. I mean, it's not bad. I mean, I guess maybe someone needs to hear that, but not here. That's not in congruence with the Ask a Christian idea, which is civil, respectful discussion. So, yes, if someone has like wildly heretical views and they're just like, I don't think Jesus is God. I'm like, oh, well, here's why. Here's why Jesus is God. Oh, well, we disagree. Thank you. I don't need to follow that up and give them an invitation to preach. Like, oh, well, what are you? Why do you think? Please teach us. Why would anyone do that? Okay, I'm done. Lou, you're the only one, and mommy left. Faisal, hey, what's up? Lou, you're probably not speaking now, but there you are. So anyways, that's all that I want to address that. I don't want to have a live discussion about it. We've already gone 12 minutes. Oh, let's see. Okay, let's check out the chat. Oh, here we go. Yeah, Lou. For those who don't know Lou, it's Look Up. Lou, sorry if I'm like doxing your name. He's the troll PTR Look Up. Yeah, he's posting the same verses. He's been with me 14 years. He's like silent now. He's a silent troll. But for those who aren't able to read chat, by the way, read chat. Go to youtube.com/@questions about Christianity. All one word, no spaces. The little @ symbol, and you will find our YouTube channel, which is brand new, so please subscribe. And, leave your hate mail or whatever. So you can see, Lou says, with it we bless our Lord and Father, and with it we curse people who are made in the likeness of God. From the same mouth come blessing and cursing, my brothers. These things ought not to be so. With the tongue we praise our Lord and Father, and you did it twice. Am I being trolled? 3 times! You did it thrice! Okay. These things, my brothers, should not be so. For we have a moral obligation to speak in a manner that, I imagine he wants to say, reflects our fear of God and profound respect for his precepts. Yeah, this is a Clubhouse bug. This is a problem with Clubhouse. They only let you get out like so many characters, and then they stop letting you reply. This is one more reason why I do not like Clubhouse, which we can talk about in a minute. We are trying to plan a exodus, as it were, to the Chatter app, but it's still in a big relaunch right now, so I don't have an ability to record this like this. So it would just be like a voice in my tin can microphone. Anyway, so we can talk about that. Hey, Albedo, Greg, Costel, Faisal. Hey, Connie, good morning, Connie. How are you doing? The world wants to hear from you, Connie, at 5:45 a.m. Or maybe not. Let's see. Is it shameful for a young man to marry a middle-aged woman in America? I don't. Shameful would be weird. No, I don't. No, I don't think shameful. I mean, it would not be like traditional, or it wouldn't be the norm. Like people would be like, really? Why? If anything, it's usually middle-aged men marrying younger women. But yeah, shameful. No, you'd have to go quite a ways down the road to throw out words like shameful. Dude, drink some water. Pulse? Do you mean drink some water, please? Let's see. My younger husband married. Whoa, how young's your husband, Em? What's the age difference? Oh, there you go, Faisal. What do you think? But they're also not in America. Oh, wait. Are you in America? I forget which way you moved. Okay, well, hey, this can be a
Wait a
short
minute.
day.
It's M saying this. My younger husband married a middle-aged woman, 30 and 41.
You
Okay, wait a
appeared
minute.
just in time. I was about to run
Yeah,
away.
great. Well, I gotta drop my daughter off too, so I'm gonna have like 8 minutes of silence here.
So, like,
Um,
an hour or two?
no, I've just gotta walk her in and then I'm gonna come back out. That's not shameful. Like, okay, if both parties are over 30, I think it makes it a little different. When you said a young man marrying an older woman and then mentioned the word shame, I'm thinking like 22 and 50. So, no, also you look like you're 30. So yeah, I
21
think you're
forever.
good.
Forever 21, right? Well, yeah, I mean,
That's
I
all
mean, I guess it's a language difference because he's in India, so I mean, people would maybe make a comment about that, but you have to go a long ways away from that to use words like shame. Like, I don't even know where that line is, but it's quite far. Maybe that's just a language issue, but I mean, people can be like, "Oh, really? Oh, that's a decent age gap." But yeah, you'd have to go really far to say that's shameful. It's a shame in India. There's like a billion of you, so like you have like, you know,
Also,
lots
lots
of.
of things are a shame in India, like someone with too dark of skin walking into a upper caste church.
Oh,
Just gonna put
fire!
that out there.
I just spent 13 minutes talking about peace and respect and love, but that's okay.
Well, I'm not there, India gonna
I
India,
know.
but
You're
like
good.
saying something is a shame in India, the bar is kind of low, you
I mean,
know?
I don't even know if shameful would be the right word if you like offend a cow and have to drink its urine for like months or whatever. I don't know if I'd say shame. I say yuck, but I mean, shame is a weird word. Like we don't really use that much. I mean, I would use it in the context of people should have some shame. I don't even use that much though. I mean, Steph lives in
Wait,
New York and she should hang her head in shame. That may be appropriate.
is 41 middle-aged? That's not middle-aged.
Is it? I don't. Well, no, he said middle age, and then M jumped in with her age. He
Yeah, I
didn't. I don't
know.
know.
She said she has a young husband who married a middle-aged woman, and then she said she's
Oh,
41.
okay. Hey, Michael, what's up?
How about that? Hi, Albedo.
Morning, and yes, it is.
Steph, did you
Oh,
read your Discord?
read my Discord?
I mean, this one's fine, but read your
What?
Discord
Okay. While I'm driving, let's see how many tickets I can get from Ask a
for the official position of the Ask a Christian podcast is don't text and drive. Don't do
Got it.
that.
Oh, okay.
What's up, Beto?
Oh, I did not read that. Sorry.
Just joining. Nothing in particular.
Sure. Michael. Good morning, Michael.
Oh, hey, what's going on this morning?
Nothing. Hopefully.
My wife's
I mean,
very
wait.
happy. My
Do
wife's
we?
very happy this morning.
Your
Your
wife what?
Apparently I don't care much, but apparently our baseball team won or something.
Or something.
Oh, well, I guess congratulations for whatever that means.
Yeah, exactly. I don't care either. But apparently we won.
Nate, do we want to talk about Chatter today?
Well, I briefly mentioned it. I mean, I did say that like I don't want to. Not all the stuff I text you. That's kind of, and I also did it in the Slack channel too. If you ever read that. Oh yeah, I got a message you need to check. But yeah, well, I did mention the Cliff Notes. Like, hey, we're wanting to plan an exodus. It's in the middle of a relaunch. Apparently, Chatter like a year ago, they were trying to compete with Clubhouse and take it over and that type of social audio sphere. It had really good ideas. It had the ability to do video, which I really like because I don't want to be the only one here on screen. It would be nice if other people participated in that way. But there's a lot of bugs. So now, like a couple days ago, we got contacted by like the founders and the lead team, and they walked us through, showed us their vision, and wanted to know if we'd bring Ask a Christian over there. I'm like, great, don't gotta ask us twice. We hate Clubhouse. So they're trying to be like professional and not mention it, and good on them. I'm like, no, we hate Clubhouse. We want somewhere to go to. Clubhouse does not seem to care about its audience. They don't seem to care about its base. I mean, is this biting the hand that feeds? I mean, thanks, Clubhouse. I mean, I guess you're, allowing me content to record. No help of you. I had to do like a million workarounds to do it. So, thanks, technology. Thank you, Jesus. But not Clubhouse. Anyway, so the point is, they have relaunched apparently a ground-up app, and it seems to be working a lot smoother. There are still some kinks to work out. I right now don't have the ability to record anyway. So I can't use it right now for the podcast. I think the most I can do is get an audio feed. So now I have to talk 8 minutes while Steph brings her daughter to be indoctrinated in New York. Anyway, yeah, I TikTok. Anyway, so I guess that's what we were going to talk about, which I will just talk about for 8 minutes. And no, I won't. I'll talk to Albedo and Michael. Anyway, but that's it. So if anyone wants to download the Chatter app, it's on Apple and Android, so download it. It looks like it's a black background with a little, let's see, there's several Chatter apps, so make sure you get the right one. Oh, I can't get the icon. Anyways, it's a black background with like a couple little teal looking bubbles, like circles on it, like air bubbles. So Courtney will not. She's been subsumed in TikTok culture. Anyway, so that's what we're trying to do. So right now they don't have video up. They say they do have video up now, like for mobile phones and stuff, but I don't have the ability to record it. They say like web browsers and Pro Tools and stuff like that are coming. So I've got a glimpse of it. So when that happens, I'm like, yeah, we'll jump ship and be there. So if you're watching on YouTube or listening on Podbean, it doesn't affect you at all. If you want to participate live or everything like that, then yeah, check out the Chatter app. There is a Ask a Christian group, so find that. Okay, I guess let's talk about whatever. Courtney's going to come tell us how we need to go to TikTok and give our data to China and not go to Chatter. What's up, Courtney? How you doing?
I feel very triggered by the whole Chatter conversation because last year Steph made a very big point to get everybody over there, and and then you guys abandoned it. But the plus side is that I did manage to get Steph's email address out of this. So I've been Steph. I'm sorry for all the spam you've been. I'm sorry for all the spam you've been getting. But I can keep a secret, Steph. It's just those loudmouth friends of mine that I tell.
Did you subscribe her email address to like Atheist Weekly?
No, I didn't do that. But I'm not sure I can say the words of the different websites that I did subscribe it to.
Wow, unmentionable. Courtney, what's up?
Yeah.
Nothing. Sometimes I'm just here to hang out and support you, Nate.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Let's see.
Albedo, wait, I do have a question. Albedo, did you get that cologne?
Oh.
I haven't yet.
Okay. I was going to say what. It's okay. I bought another one from the same brand. It should be coming in today, so I'm excited. I'll let you know on that one too.
Yeah. Let me know.
Oh, Connie says 40 is middle-aged. Yeah, so I'm past middle age.
Huh?
In chat, we were talking about what is middle age. Connie weighed in and said 40 is middle age.
Oh, well, I'm almost there then.
I am over there, past there.
Lord, have mercy on me.
I want to open an In-N-Out in India.
Someone told me the other day on TikTok, it was a female, by the way. She was like, you look great. What do you're probably about my age, right? And I was like, I don't know. And then she goes, I'm 47. And I was like, girl, what? I was like,
wow.
So I couldn't tell if it was like a compliment.
Or she is like mean girling you?
No. We're friends. But like, I think because.
Are you?
Well, you never know, I guess. But no, like, I think what it was is just my knowledge, I guess. A lot. She's complimented me on my wisdom in the past. And so I think she thought I was older based on that, not by looks. Because when I told her, no, I'm 37, she said, oh, now it makes sense then. Like, the vibe, it makes sense. I don't know. So I don't know. That's been living rent-free in my head.
Michael, I don't think you were here yesterday, were you? Or no, you were in the beginning, but you haven't been staying long. Have we not been interesting you enough, or have you been having work and stuff? Because I think I like look around after a short time, I'm like, Michael's gone. Were we not entertaining him enough?
That's why I've been leaving.
Why?
Nothing.
You don't like us. I understand why you leave us early.
No, it's just been that pesky thing called work.
Ah, okay.
It's a serious pain in the ass. I have to stop doing it.
Yeah, Canada needs their taxes, bro. Don't you stop working.
42 weeks.
Oh, yeah. You're retiring in how long? 42?
42 weeks.
That's great. Congratulations.
How long is 42 weeks?
Too long. It's too long.
Really? Just that? Well, how many weeks are there in a year?
52?
Yeah, well, so we know it's under a year.
9.5 months.
There you go. And the reason why we know this is because that's a biblical number, Nate. You should know that.
42 or 52 or 40, whatever, or 52?
42. Mm-hmm. Book of Revelation and Daniel. It's okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nate, come on. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if I want to know... I'm not going to fight today. Thank you, Courtney, for your biblical correction.
You were about to say, if I want to know irrelevant Old Testament information, I'll just ask Courtney.
I was not going to say it that way.
Okay. Thanks.
Besides, you don't need to. He said it.
That's right. I guess so.
I'll just follow Jesus. I'm kidding. I mean, I'm not kidding about that, but I know you do too.
Yeah.
No, yeah, stuff's been creeping up. I've only been out of my house once this week so far. I've been able to just stay at home and work from there, but it's all just such an inconvenience. You're gonna have to give me like a permanent green bean though, like when I do retire and I'm here, from start to finish 5 days a week.
Yeah. Albedo, where's Andrew been lately? He hasn't been running rooms. Why is that?
Is that why we're getting more atheists here?
Do what?
He did yesterday.
What time?
Much all day.
Oh, dang. When I popped in, I didn't see it. But then again, I don't like the hallway in Clubhouse anymore. They keep changing it.
Again?
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't show up.
So then, like, how do you find it? You go to your messages and scroll over till you see the white bubble under their head?
Yeah, I just, look at my friends and see what rooms they're in.
Okay.
Sorry.
Hello, I have returned.
Oh, I was about to ask what the timer was on you, but
How many minutes was that?
I don't.
It was
no
7.
One knows.
You jerk! It was 7. Just so we're clear, because I wrote it in the chat 7 minutes ago.
Steph, the only real thing you missed was me apologizing to you for all the spam email you're getting.
What spam email?
Well, remember months back when you tried to do the whole chatter thing, and you sent me an email, and I may have subscribed you to a few email lists.
Oh yeah.
I'm kidding, of course. I didn't do that.
I was gonna say I haven't seen any. Gmail must be doing its job. I did notice after I signed up for Chatter that I started getting a lot of spam phone calls. And I thought it might have been Chatter that did that, but then everyone in my family and friends were complaining about it also, and they were not on Chatter, so I don't know what that's about.
Yeah, Steph, you were saying something about Chatter. I was planning on
Yeah.
maybe switching halfway, like doing like a little bit here, and then trying to kick my foot in the door over there.
Yeah.
So like
Well,
half and half.
we could put the link here and direct anybody who wants to go over there.
Yeah,
I
that's what
mean,
I'm saying.
we had yesterday in Chatter, we had Jeff and Sean and Malak and
Mimi.
Yeah, Mimi came over. We
and
had a
Felix
good
for like
group
2
yesterday.
seconds.
Felix was there. Who else? We had a really good group.
Connie abandoned us. Just kidding. She didn't see it in time.
No, she saw after and she said she would have come
I
on.
know.
Connie's good with Cheddar. She figured it out faster than me the first time. I was asking Connie, how do you do this thing? Because she knew. And then there was like 8 or 10 people that we've never seen before that came through. Oh, and we had Nelson and Naziel. And it was like, oh, Zach. Can we talk about Zach?
What about Zach? So let me, I mean, I don't know what you're going to gossip about other people. I'll just say I don't think I've ever talked to him or met him. He did seem reasonable in his answers he gave. And that's all I know about him. I have no other knowledge. So what kind of gossip are you about to unchristianly spread?
It's not gossip. Okay, I like Zach. Okay, but before we go over there, I think we need a game plan because Zach is very, very, very active on Chatter, and he always has been. He's been there like through the whole thing. So I like Zach as a person. He's a great guy. I don't like that he's teaching because he has been like disfellowshipped from a couple of churches for the methods he uses to teach. I don't know. So
what are the methods he uses to teach?
Well, like he
waterboarding?
I don't know what the topic was. Malak said it was the Trinity, but I don't remember. This isn't chisme. This isn't gossip because Zach talks about it. Like if you ask him, he'll just tell you. So he's said this in public rooms. Okay. This is not private. Okay. So he was at a church that he was really excited about. And then he ended up like he was teaching the kids something. I don't know what it was. The pastors disagreed. And they had him as like helping with the youth leadership, the teenagers and stuff. The pastors disagreed with whatever he was teaching. I don't know the topic. So they told him, hey, we want to give you some counsel on that. And we want to talk to you. And he said, no, because the Lord has given me understanding. And they said, okay, just don't teach that. And then he continued to teach whatever it was. And then they told him to step down from that position. Then he wouldn't. So they told him to leave the church. This happened over a few days. Then he wouldn't leave the church, so he had to be escorted by the police off of the church campus and given like a. So I don't know what the story, the whole, like I don't know the details, but I know that like, and then something similar happened with another church where he was trying to teach something and they asked him to leave. I don't know what it is, but I'm a little hesitant about like handing him the mic to just like do that. Does that make sense?
No, I completely agree. I don't like people, speaking on behalf of. It's a weird thing, right? Because it's a free for all. So if people, it seems like are Christian and remotely are traditional and biblical in their answers, then it's like, well, okay, sure. But I also can't police if someone's like secretly like a Unitarian or a Oneness Pentecostal, and they're like, hey guys, I'm a Christian, and then they just like answer all these Christian questions amazingly, and then like 6 months later, I'm like, oh. You're oneness, and you've siphoned away a bunch of like Orthodox Christians and formed a cult with them. Well, that stinks. So yeah, I'm caught somewhere between like if I don't know the people, I don't want them speaking, but also if someone like weighs in and they happen to have an answer, I'm like, okay, well that was a good answer. So I don't know.
Yeah, he does get like I like the way that he thinks on a lot of things, but he gets really deep into technicalities that seem kind of off. And like, you know how Malak was asking him, "Is Jesus God?" and he wouldn't answer. Like that's the kind of thing that it's like, Oh, and he refers to all Jews, all of them, as the synagogue of Satan. And that's just colloquially how he calls them. And that's why he got booted off of Clubhouse. It's because he had all those synagogue of Satan rooms talking about how terrible the Jews are. So he and Malak don't get along.
I said I was. Oh, I don't know. Were you here? You weren't here yet. No, you abandoned us. You weren't here yesterday for the drama. I said I wasn't going to
No.
talk about it, but I continue to get text messages from it. Look, Chris, bro, I already addressed this, so I didn't have to do it right now. It's in the beginning. I addressed the whole thing. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want it to take up more oxygen. People are not changing. Short of Jesus Christ, like, reaching down and changing them, and not only changing their heart, but then, like, making them follow it, and directing their eyeballs, and be like, this is the heart I've changed you. Follow it. Short of God doing this, I'm certainly not able to. So there is like a ethos to the Ask a Christian that is like, look, we want people to ask whatever, like uncensored, ask your question, as long as it's, you know, the censor part would be like, you know, don't spam porn and PTRs, don't swear and curse and, you know, all this other like, don't yell and scream and stuff like that, and don't be a jerk. I think there's one rule. There's more now, but it's like, don't be a jerk. Anyway, so like, I don't care where the people are. I don't care if they're trolls. I don't care what their position is. If they could remotely ask a question with some sort of politeness and respect, ask whatever you want, and the Christian will answer. So I am sick of carrying water for Christians that behave badly, and then they're like, "What did I do? I didn't do nothing. I didn't do nothing." And it's like the Inquisition. And anyway, so look, I like you as a person, I like you as a friend, but I think you just need a couple days off. That's all. I don't want to get into it. Like, I don't want to have to carry water when someone's like, yeah, I don't believe Jesus is God. And then when I'm trying to give a Bible verse, or someone is trying to politely give a Bible verse, like, oh, well, let's walk through this. This is why Jesus is God. Someone's like, you're a filthy atheist. What's your worldview? You're a unitard. Da-da-da. You don't, what position you're coming from? You have no grounding. It's like, why are you so hostile? It's like, because you have no basis to say anything. You can't account for your epistemology. Like, dude, it's like, okay. Can we calm down? Can we calm down? This is taking years off my life, and it has got to stop. So this is the thing. Stop behaving badly. Everyone. Like, everyone. Me too. Anyways, that's all I want to address that. So, no, I don't hate you. You're fine. You're a great person. You're a good Christian. But, yeah, read all the Bible stuff. Like, where Paul is, like, chastising Peter and other Christians, and, you know, it's like, brothers, stop being jerks. Just read all that stuff. Jeff, welcome.
Oh, hey, good morning, or at least it's morning here in New York. How are you?
Increasingly
In New York,
worse.
are
Sorry, what's that?
Great. What's
you?
up?
Where in New York are you? I asked.
Oh, I am in Greenwich Village, which is a
New Jersey.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
No, not New Jersey. New Jersey?
I'm upstate.
Yeah. Well, I consider
Everything south of Albany is New Jersey, Jeff.
I understand. My corollary to that is, so I've lived here for 27 years. For me, everything north of 59th Street, which is Central Park South, is the suburbs.
That's bonkers.
Yeah.
Hey, Truth,
I
what's
used
up?
to live in White Plains, though, so I get you.
Hello.
Upstate, which
How you
blew my
doing?
mind. Sorry, I interrupted Jeff. He didn't even get to do his thing. Sorry.
I don't know Truth. He's a new guy. Jeff, what's up? How are you doing? Sorry, Truth. Give us a second.
Oh, just chilling. Just saw the room, popped in. I am an atheist. Grew up in a secular Jewish household, and just figured I would see what the room's all about.
Wait, what?
Wait, what?
This isn't Jeff we know? Steph, this isn't the Jeff we know from Discord?
No.
Oh.
No, absolutely not. No.
Oh, well, is his name not also Jeff P?
Yes, Jeff P. Two Jeff Ps.
Oh my
I
gosh.
thought it was the same person until I checked his PTR.
Oh, sorry, Jeff. I didn't mean to like skip by you. I thought it was just the Jeff we all know because your names are exactly the same. My bad.
Nice.
Okay, well, I'll have to look out for a PTR with the fish. So, yeah, Jeff, did you have any questions about Christianity from a bunch of otherwise nice but today kind of grumpy Christians?
Well, you know, I'm kind of familiar with it. I went to Georgetown University, and I'm married to a woman who is nominally Eastern Orthodox. She's from Tbilisi, Georgia. Of course, she doesn't actually believe, but I guess she'd say anyone born there is really Christian, I guess, by some definition. I don't know. I guess, what would I ask? I guess what I would ask is, do you see your beliefs as the kind of accepting of the absurd for psychological benefits, or rather, do you see it as kind of, well, that's how I see it, but
I know, it's just funny.
so do you see it like that, or do you see it where like you are truly looking out and truly analyzing the universe and truly seeking the truth if such a thing exists, or facts if such a thing exists, and then you landed on the belief that worshiping a Jewish man that walked on water, turned water into wine, died, and then came back to life? Like, and those are like, that's the, you kind of looked around and that's what you think is really true, or do you just see it as accepting the absurd for the strong psychological benefits that it provides you in your life?
So I would say no, I don't see that. To the psychological absurd, that stuff, whatever. I don't care about that. I think there are benefits. There's benefits to different things. There's the placebo effect. Sure, it exists. I don't really care about it. I want results, and I want to pursue truth. Go with me. So I'm sure everyone would say that. People don't believe the things they believe because they think they're incorrect. They think they're true. It doesn't mean they are true. It means that's what they think is most true or most likely true. And really, people can say they abstain, but there's only so few things people can say that. We have to live our lives. So we live our lives governed by what we think is true or most likely true, and we act like that. Even if we still have some questions, we're like, well, I have to live my life somehow, so I'm going to live it under this paradigm. Sure. I can't just huddle in a corner all day. So the point is, for Christianity, when people come at it like it's psychologically absurd and we know these things can't happen. No, you don't. It's absurd to think that. We're constantly learning things about the universe, and the biggest thing we're constantly learning is how much we know we don't know. And even that we don't know. So to say this or that can't happen, we can say it's unlikely. We can be actually scientific and try to assign some sort of probability to it, like science would. But to say we know for a fact, no, we can say as far as we know it, this can't happen and these logical laws can't be broken, but we don't know that for all space and time. So in the vein of that, like being truly truth-seeking, well, yes, for myself, I was brought up in a Christian household. I don't believe exactly like that. I haven't strayed too far from it. The specific belief is like, very Pentecostal Assemblies of God growing up. So, I mean, I'm still very close to that, but I don't believe everything that everyone taught growing up. But I'm familiar with the Christian stories. I am familiar with other religions. Good Lord, doing this for over a decade, I'm very familiar with other religions. But there was a time where I'm like, well, I was raised Christian. I know these stories. Are they true? Like, I can tell you about them, but I want to know if this is real. So I'm like, well, it seems like the best way to figure this out. I mean, I grew up, I'd pray to God. I'd say my nightly prayers as a kid. But then there was a very significant point when I went from just praying this stuff and, mimicking other people to, well, do I pray this because I'm just going through the motions? Like, I think everyone in most cultures, it's easier to go along and get along. And I'm like, well, no. I'm like, I don't want to do it if it's not real. So I really prayed to God. I'm like, well, Jesus says we can pray to him. So I guess I should, do that. And if I'm praying prayers to him anyway, wondering if he's real, I should pray a prayer and be like, hey, as if you're actually real. So there was a very significant point, I think I was around like 12, that I'm like, yes, I believe for myself. I don't need anyone to tell me or like convince me this is real. I really believe this is real. And then fast forward to like, later on in life, and I got to a very pivotal moment. And I'm like, again, I'm familiar with these. Well, before that, I explored some other world religions and things like that. It did not, and other philosophies, it did not take very long at all for me to start researching this. I'm like, wow, this is stupid. Like, I was kind of a little bit of a rebel, so I was kind of looking for a way. I'm like, yeah, this will be great if I can be some other, like a Buddhist or a Wiccan, a man-witch. I'm like, oh, my parents will be so mad. But I did not research this, or I read a little bit of the Quran earlier, read a lot more now. But I'm like, it didn't take very long for me to be like, I'm throwing in the towel. I'm going to have to find some other way to make my parents mad at me. They're right on this God thing. It's right. So then I got to a very pivotal moment later where I'm like, God, look, I want to know what truth is, if this is real. Like, I really want to, and like, I keep telling the story, but I couldn't get the thought out of my head. I was praying this prayer to God, surprise. I wasn't like watching YouTube videos or debating Christians about it. I was praying directly to this God who says pray directly to him. And my prayer was going to be something like, look, I just want truth. Whatever, like something like whatever truth is, I want to know. If that's you, I want to know this. Before I even finished that thought in my head, in that prayer, I was just like kind of struck with this, no supernatural, weird, fuzzy goosebumps, but it's just a very stark realization. Like, wow. Yes, that is my answer. This is real. Like, I didn't even finish my thought. I certainly wasn't looking for it. I wasn't trying to force the issue. If I was trying to force the issue, I would have at least finished my thought. Anyway, so like, there's been some pivotal moments in that point where I've certainly questioned things. I've questioned my faith. But as far as Christianity, yes, I am settled. It would be wrong of me to say anything other than at a Gnostic level, this has been spiritually revealed. I know this is true. I claim this is true. So that's kind of how I arrived at it. So I don't think it's like some perceived psychological benefit. It's not a fear of the dark. If I honestly believed when we died, you just stop existing, that's oddly comforting. Like, that sounds pretty good. I just believe it's false. I believe you continue on in an afterlife, and it's in the Christian paradigm. Sorry to take so long. I wanted to be thorough.
All right. Well, I guess human behavior is nature and nurture, right? And the nature part, to me is, I think evolutionary psychology explains a lot of the reasons why people believe in invisible agents and act the way they do in the religious context. And, the nurture part, it sounds like you just, basically, not just you, but basically everyone's kind of brainwashed by their parents and by society, and some people, it's so strong that people just cling to it. Many people just kind of cling to it as their baseline, that the way their subconscious was programmed, socially, in their house or in their society or whatever. But
would you say you're susceptible to that as well?
Oh, everyone is, yeah, of course.
Okay, so it's not a knock. Yeah, in 2 seconds. Hang on. So it's not a knock against theists. It would be pointing out the obvious that no one is immune from this. Atheist, agnostic, Gnostic theist, agnostic theist. Like, everyone is in the bowl you just put forth, right? So I mean, I guess it's a good observation. Sure.
Everyone's in the bowl, but we can look at things like the negative correlation to religiosity and IQ, and we can look at things and decide how we want to brainwash our children, basically, recognizing that no matter what we do, we're going to be brainwashing our children. So we can brainwash our children in a smart way, or we can brainwash our children in a dumb way, basically. So yeah, but that's how it works in my view.
Well,
that's the nurture part of it.
Sure. And I mean, I think I would point out, for any good done here today, besides repent and believe the gospel, when we say brainwashing, like, I understand a lot of people won't. So even for your own position, you're like, well, we can brainwash them good or brainwash them bad. I mean, I think indoctrination may still be too harsh, but I mean, the point is, people are indoctrinated and they're deceiving themselves. If they're like, I'm going to raise my child as neutral as I can and let them decide when they get older. No, they're not being neutral. You're not doing anything. Like, if you're withdrawing and you're not teaching them the ways you think are right as their parent or their guardian, someone else certainly is. So no one is born tabula rasa, and no one is not being raised without some sort of indoctrination being pushed upon them. It's just as your charge. As a parent, are you going to give them what you think is best and right and true? Or are you going to throw up your hands and say, well, I'm going to let them decide? If you're going to let them decide, their elementary school, their preschool, TV, cartoons, social media, friends, like, someone is speaking into them. And then from the Christians, I mean, I don't want to get into this or that, like, everyone choose your champion. But, you can have very smart people who are non-theist. You can have some of the smartest people with recorded IQs. Literally, that dude with, like, insane, it was in whatever hundreds IQ. He's like, yeah, I'm a Christian. Jesus is God. And everyone completely freaked out because they were, like, praising him for his wit, his genius, his IQ. And then he's like, oh, yeah, I'm a Christian. They're like, what? You're so smart. He's like, yes, I'm so smart. I'm a Christian. So, I mean, we can each choose our champion. But the point is, when you say religiosity, I can agree a lot with you. And I promise we'll get to you 001 in a second, like a couple minutes. But I can agree to a certain point. But what does that mean? If that means you have all these, like, weird, backwards, ideas that have been proven not to work, even from other theists, or you're just like intentionally keeping your kids like dumb or uneducated, or I don't know.
It means taking it too literally, right? Religiosity is the degree to which you take it literally. So, I mean, yeah, there's outliers, of course, but I mean, the data is very strong. I mean, there's been meta studies of many studies that show the negative correlation. You look at the world map and regional. You can look. There's many different ways of doing it, but of seeing the negative correlation. But in terms of your first point about the parental approach of trying to expose their kids to different things and let them make their own choices. Well, sure, that's brainwashing into a philosophy of sort, but happens to be a very valid philosophy, just like if there are other valid philosophies. And I don't know. It seems to be a pretty well-grounded one that yes, the kid is going to be exposed to whatever they're exposed to, but wouldn't it be ideal to have them exposed to many things and decide the path that's right for them, to the extent that nature and nurture allows for it, right? Determinism is largely true, or if not entirely true. So, I mean, yes, their decisions and behavior is going to be bound by their exposure and their genetics, but wouldn't it be better to have as broad an exposure as the parent can facilitate?
That's a great question. Let me respond to this, and then we'll go to 001, and then we can come back and keep the conversation going. But I want to get him in here too, since I also don't know him. I'll just respond to a couple things. So there's two ways to look at this. Both kind of uncharitable to your side, but one, wouldn't you want them exposed to this? Well, what is our end game? Is our end game, we want them to be exposed to the most we can, good, bad, neutral, so they can have the largest data pool to navigate their finite lives. That may be an argument for that, but then what is the end game? And by the way, you said religiosity correlates to fundamentalism, or how much you take it literally. If we're talking about the Bible and the events of the Bible, then super literal. That would be me, so maybe I'm a dummy. But the point is, one, no, you don't want them exposed to the largest data pool if that data pool is leading them to what I believe is a literal road of hell. So that's like, what's your end game? If your end game is life is finite, do the best you can, which means it sounds like the more information is better, I think you would find non-theists who would challenge that too. More is not always better. But from the Christian worldview, it's like, well, look, if the goal is you have a creator, and the goal is to end up being reconciled to this creator through Jesus, his death, burial, resurrection, literally, then you need the information, the largest data pool that's going to get you to that result. And it turns out the data pool you need for that is very simple, is very small. So that would be one. The other thing is about high IQ. We can have that argument, and I think people who are interested in that can talk about, well, this Christian's smarter, and this atheist is smarter, and this Muslim is smarter, and then the atheist and Christian both fight against the Muslim, because that's ridiculous. Shout out Muslims. But the point is, it's not about IQ either. If the goal is to be reconciled to your creator, well, I mean, that would be like a spiritual IQ that, a non-theist will be like, no, the spirit's not a thing. But if it is a thing, then that certainly matters. So that would be more of a data pool. So it's like the Christian who doesn't even think data pool size is necessarily the best way to go about that. If the spirit world, which would be like, more existence than just this physical realm, if this is factual at all, then automatically the Christian has a larger data pool, even though they don't say that's an issue. So like the Bible says, here's some biblical wisdom, spiritual things are spiritually discerned. So I think some of the highest IQ people in history, I mean, literally the highest IQ person, but that's just an anecdote. Many high IQ, high intelligence people are Christians, are theists, but even if that weren't the case, even if converting to Christianity automatically dumbed down your IQ, it doesn't, but if it did, spiritual things are spiritually discerned. So great, if you have a high IQ that leads to a literal hell and like death, what did that account for? Versus if you're kind of a dummy that leads to the desired result with your creator, I mean, thank you, God. So I mean, I know we're coming from very different viewpoints, but from the Christian viewpoint, it's like no matter how you slice that, it's better. The only way it's not is if it is not true. And if it wasn't true, well, I wouldn't believe it. I would modify my thinking to whatever else I believed is true. But if I'm being honest, yeah, it's true. That's why I'm a Christian. Give a quick follow up, and then we'll go to Z01.
Well, it just sounds like you're starting with a conclusion and then just lead, like by your own words, limiting the exposure to guarantee compliance with the conclusion that you already made. So, but anyhow, I appreciate your points.
Sure, stick around after this. We can come back, but I would just say that I don't think I started with the conclusion. I literally told you, like, there were pivotal points in my life where I did not have a conclusion. I was fact finding. I was soul searching, which eventually led to a conclusion. And now I still have an open mind. Like, like once a year I'll get hit with a question that I haven't heard. Doing this like 14 years, and I'm like, oh, is this the day the Bible's false? I don't know. And turns out like a cursory glance, I'm like, oh. Nope, false alarm. So, I mean, I don't care, right? Like, my world would not be shattered if, I mean, we wouldn't know unless it happened. But if someone hit me with something so hard, or we unearthed some biblical thing that's like, no, Bible's a whole lie, like, nothing would change. Like, I'm not beholden to this because I need to be. I'm beholden to this because I legit believe this is true. But, yeah, stick around. Good to meet you, Jeff. 001, what's up?
Oh, guys, Sammy, I'm someplace with really bad reception, but can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, I hear you.
So I just wanted to ask Jeff, he spoke to indoctrination. Is it possible that, your belief in atheism might stem from the fact that you're indoctrinated in the beliefs of the first world countries?
Sorry, that I'm indoctrinated in the beliefs of what? You broke up at the last few words.
First world countries.
Yeah.
That I'm indoctrinated in the beliefs of the first world countries. Well, what I said before is that human behavior is a product of nature and nurture, and religious beliefs are part of that. The nature part is the genetic part, evolutionary psychology, hunter-gatherer, ancestors, etc. And the nurture part is like social psychology, right? So yeah, I mean, the inputs, I've traveled to about 50 countries, first world countries, second world countries, third world countries, if those labels really exist. So I've exposed myself to as broad
indoctrination right there. If those labels exist, indoctrination.
As I can, sure. I'm a product of my environment, just like everyone is to a degree.
I was just thinking, I was listening to something recently, and it was an anthropologist or something? Something. But someone made a point. We all are immediately going to be like, oh, I guess we always knew that. But sometimes you need things like pointed out. It's like going back to theistic beliefs in some sort of supernatural thing. It's like you can try to find other ways to make this work, and sure, fine, you can do a fair job. I can do a fair job. But it's just interesting when you realize, like, all these other places speaking about, like, well, you need religiosity and people need this for psychological benefits and all this other stuff. Well, the converse is true too. So it's like when you look at like witchcraft and like demon worship and all this other stuff, you see it from like the ancient Celts to Africa to you see it from people that never had contact with people. I mean, now they have, pretty much everyone has. But like you see all these completely different people on different continents, and when when they were discovered, they all somehow glommed on to like the same like kind of dark powers and like witchcraft, whether you believe in the stuff or not. I mean, it happened on paper. They're like, yes, we serve this thing and we serve that thing and we do sacrifices, and they're all like, doing these very weird witchcraft spiritism type stuff. And it's like, is there a way you could maybe say because of evolution or something that led people to this? But whenever you look at the anthropology of it, it's like they are so similar. It's as if someone from each tribe would have had to go to a different continent and teach people their ways, because it's not like they just glommed onto something. There's like some sort of similarities. It's like doing the bones, like throwing the things, like the concoctions they make. It's like they all attended the same demonic university, but they never had contact. And I'm sure Jeff is going to explain one rational way, but it's just interesting. It's like, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't mean there's a spiritual Satan out there, but I mean, it's interesting to think about.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't have much to say to someone who believes in Satan or God, but I mean, it's just so absurd. But when you, I mean, it's beyond absurd. But
Wait. Well, can you
but
just like
wait,
back
hold
up?
on, hold on. But when you look at the world's religions, and I lump all those into the religiosity. I don't see any difference between Christianity and Judaism and those things that you mentioned there. When you look at all of them, you learn, or when I looked at all of them, I learned absolutely nothing about the supernatural truths or anything like that. And they just learned a giant lesson on human psychology. And, this is how people are. Well, why are they that way? Well, it's because for most of our shared history, we lived for millions of years in Africa. All of us, that's our indigenous homelands, my beautiful, precious, indigenous spiritual homeland of Africa. It's all of ours. We lived there for millions of years. Uh, all of our shared ancestors lived there, and through the evolutionary process, we evolved in ways that benefited us. Namely, we saw, when the leaves rustled in the jungle, the people who ran the fastest, who were afraid of it and ran the fastest, those are the people that survived. So people evolved to and had kids, right? So people evolved to believe in invisible agents, and that's why we believe in invisible agents: God, the devil, the tooth fairy, whatever it is. There are good reasons for this kind of behavior. Absolutely.
Okay, so I
However,
mean,
now it's like a maladaption, right? It was beneficial in our ancestral environment, but now we're in a different environment where we have this programming in us, and some people can, transcend it, and some people cannot.
okay, well, it's interesting. If you're saying that's the reason why people got to other continents and had no contact with each other, after thousands of years or whatever of being apart, so it's not like they're like, hey, we're getting on a boat or a land bridge or whatever, and some of us are going to Europe and gonna get extremely pale, and others are going to end up in Aboriginal outback. And no one said, hey, here's our demonology books. So if we're saying like that's the basis, and then that leads to the conclusion, whether you believe in Satan or not, like that doesn't matter for this. They end up doing things the exact same way. So I think someone can be like, well, if you believe in the spiritual world, it makes sense that some malevolent spiritual entity is leading and teaching these people this stuff, because to say that it was hard-coded in their DNA from running from leaves and danger sense to end up in doing witchcraft and demonology the exact same way, that seems like more of a leap. And then you said like believing in Satan is absurd. Well, it's absurd. Like I'll check with our other Canadian atheist in a minute, but I'm pretty sure he would say, we'll find out, it's absurd to. Well, no, he would say it's absurd. I would say it's absurd to say it's absurd. You don't know that. Like what you can, and it makes me think like people go from being non-theist to anti-theist when they kind of continue to use these kind of pejoratives and exclamatives, where it's like, instead of like, I don't believe that, or there's no evidence for that, or something like that seems like you would be like Norwegian, right? Like some of the people I believe are most truly agnostic or atheist in their own definition, in your definition of the word, the lack of belief of God or gods, are from like these Scandinavian countries that have not had all this exposure. Because when I meet them, it's vastly different. They'll say things like, well, look, I don't know anything about religion. I'm not religious. I don't know really about this Jesus or this Bible. Can you answer these questions? And then you do, and you're like, oh, well, I'm not really convinced by that, but no, I don't have a problem. I mean, do whatever you want. That's kind of what I would expect from someone that's truly unbothered. So it's kind of when people are like, that's absurd, or we know that, or that is factually wrong, and then they don't have like actual evidence to back it up. It makes me think people go from just being like, well, non-theist to very kind of anti-theist. And I can give them a little grace, because if they've been brought up and their parents like beat them or lock them in a sin closet or something like that, and they like blame the church for all the evils in their life, I get that. But it kind of like belies your hand a little bit. Not necessarily you, Jeff, but whoever does that. But Michael, oh, and then you did mention like Africa's our spiritual homeland. So as someone who like disavows all spiritual stuff, I would wonder in what context you mean that. It's kind of rhetorical, but I mean certainly not like spiritual the way anyone else would mean it, unless it's like a New Age thing, which I mean I would think an atheist wouldn't really be into New Age stuff and like energy healing and crystals. So real fast before we go to Michael, what do you mean by Africa's our spiritual homeland, as someone who denies the spiritual?
Correct. So I deny the spirit, as I define it, is just a natural thing in our subconscious. So it's just, when I say Africa is our spiritual homeland, I mean that all of these thoughts and behaviors that we have around the so-called spirit world came from our ancestors' experiences in Africa. That's really what I meant by it.
Okay. Michael, do you want to jump in? Then we'll go back to one. Yeah, where would you weigh in on some of this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, the idea of spiritual homeland. Yeah. So I understand what Jeff. I understand what Jeff is saying, and yeah, like from an evolutionary perspective, we know that's where, we know that's where, um, Homo sapiens came from. Like we do know that is the case, and it can be demonstrated very easily.
Until it
And
can't.
Well, no, there isn't until it can't. So for example, like there are no more missing links, right? Australopithecus afarensis was the missing link. It's been discovered. We can now go from like we can demonstrate it. It's not that big a deal. To the thing he said about kind of absurd beliefs, and I think I've said this before. I find the belief in the things that you believe in. I find that absurd, but I accept that you've been convinced that it's true for whatever reason you've been convinced. I personally find it absurd, which is why I don't believe anymore. But I don't think a person is
Steph, check Discord.
like an idiot or stupid for believing it, because because belief is the process of becoming convinced of the truth of a proposition. But I personally find it I can't believe that. I find the idea of it to be absurd. Not, but again, you've become convinced for some reason.
Well, right, and I mean, my position is the same. I would be more charitable and be like, well, look, it's not a populace. Can 110 billion people be wrong? Sure. Is it likely? You should at least hear what they have to say. So I mean, besides atheists being in the extreme minority of planet history, I find that absurd. It's like, look around. Even, I know you don't like Romans 1, but even if you take out the scary parts that you really don't like, or the infuriating parts, it still puts forth kind of a decent observation. It's like, look around. Just open your eyes and tell me what you see. Great. Why do you see it? Why do you see that thing? What happened? And it's like, well, I mean, it got here somehow. How? So, I mean, it puts forth a decent observation, even if you take out the parts that really make you mad. So, I mean, it's absurd for me to think, like, a lot of the other explanations, other than a creator deity, is responsible for this stuff. And, I know it seems absurd to you for us crazy Christians to believe what we believe, but it's equally and oppositely absurd to be like, how can you say there is no God? And yet you find ways to say that. And then it's almost like the Richard Carrier conversation, where I think it was the census we talked about earlier, Michael, a couple months ago. He's like, we absolutely know the Book of Mark is false. And it came to the census thing. And I'm like, well, no, we don't know that. That's a massive assumption you're leaping to. We do not know that. It's actually very congruent. It is very explainable that it is not false. Just the way that may be the best history that you have, how census is done in Rome, does not mean the prefects and people of different distant empires would follow that same thing, especially with the political upheaval going on in Jerusalem at the time. So whenever people say things like, we know, I mean, I'll say, I know there's a God. Can you prove it? No. How do you know that? It's a Gnostic knowledge. Oh, so you mean it's been like supernaturally, spiritually revealed? That's my claim. Oh, I don't believe that anyways. Okay, great. But I've explained how we, quote, know this. Anyway, so when people say we know things, all it would take is one thing, or be like, it's been a conspiracy 50 years, people have falsified records, oh, oops, we came from Antarctica instead. I mean, that's crazy. That sounds crazy, but there's just all kinds of things. So, assign probability, how's the Christian explaining to atheists how to truly be scientific? Very unlikely, incredibly unlikely. Great. Just leave a little wiggle room so you don't have to eat a bunch of crow, I guess. But we lost 001. Steph, did you see the message, or did you hear me? Did you want to switch chatter? I hate to leave this, but I want to still kind of kick the foot in the door of chatter every now and then.
Yeah, we can, but I'm on a training, so I'm going to be minimal
Oh
help.
my gosh. Okay, we'll do it tomorrow then. We'll keep this going for a little bit longer, and then I'll just end it today. Yeah, Jeff, Michael.
I think what's important to note when it comes to knowledge, right? So I'm a fallibilist, right? Which means that like infallibilism, basically, you can have knowledge without certainty. So claiming to know something, which is why when you say I know God exists, I think, okay, from a fallibilist perspective, where you can have knowledge without absolute certainty, I don't have a problem with you saying that. And so when I say something like, like I know that sub-Saharan Africa is the kind of quote unquote birthplace, of Homo sapiens. I can say that I know that based on all the available evidence, right? So from an abductive perspective, basically on the best available evidence, this is what we can say we know.
Oh, I'm just trying to. Yeah, thank you, Michael. I'm just trying to catch up in chat. What hellacious stuff is going on in here? I don't even know how far back I have to read. It's probably better I don't. Yeah, Jeff, did you have anything else to say?
Oh, I mean, I don't know, to say that. So I'm an atheist, but I am like Dawkins or whoever else. I guess I'm more properly an agnostic atheist, right? So I don't believe, but there's certain versions of God that I believe can't be known. Now the Abrahamic God, I give a 0% probability.
So does Michael. It's so interesting. Keep going.
Yeah, that one is kind of beyond absurd and flies in the face of everything that we know about the universe. But there are other versions that it just depends how you define the word, right? The old Einstein Spinoza trick of just literally defining the word God as the universe and the laws of nature. Well, sure. If that's the definition, then I'm a hardcore believer. Of course, that doesn't give any other attributes to the universe and the laws of nature. Just simply change the word and the pronunciation as a method of not pulling the rug out from underneath the believers and trying to get them to redirect their beautiful, beautiful feelings of awe and wonder that they feel about God just to something that actually exists, such as the universe and the laws of nature. Well, okay, I've got no problem with the Einstein and Spinoza, maneuver there. I don't think it's necessary. I think it's just a tautology. It's just, the universe and the laws of nature exist. They're wonderful. They're awe-inspiring. They're incredible. They're bigger than all of us, blah, blah, blah. I'd rather just go with that than just calling them God. But, okay, I can understand the diplomatic reason for doing that. If we define God as this my iPhone, well then, without giving it any other attributes, then it exists. So yeah, there are certain definitions that we can't prove. There's certain definitions that are possible, but yeah. So I guess that's kind of where I come from.
Okay, yeah. So no one means that. We mean the Abrahamic God. It's interesting though, and I wonder. I have my suspicions. I don't know you, but when people say like, I'm not saying no God exists, but I know the Christian God doesn't exist. Why? Is it because you'd get very bad things happen if you came out against someone else's God? I don't know. Or is that just somehow that's your feeling? But on paper, well, hang on. If you put everything on paper, and it's like kind of the opposite side of the coin. You're like, well, if we can get people to redirect, from this God thing to these things that really exist, like the stars, the universe, and energy and planets. Well, the Christians over are saying, can we please direct your energy from the thing, from that stuff to the one who we are saying made that stuff, and then back and forth we go. But I find it interesting that if you take away any supernatural, like no one's talking about this, like get academic, like people love science, people love academia, great. Put all these like God ideas on paper, not whatever you said, like real God ideas, like people that actually have followers. So Islam, Judaism, Christianity, the appeal is the same God. I don't think all these religions follow truly the same God, but that's the claim. So you've got all these religions appealing to the God of Abraham. Then you've got only a hand. We've done this from time to time. I think there's a previous episode like a week ago about it, but people eventually will come to launch the claim and be like, there's so many gods, how do you know which one to choose from? There's really not. And for the super scientist atheist, maybe you can help a Christian out every now and then and just be like, well, on paper, look, your God is logically consistent. Like, granted, the part you don't believe in is the part Christians are appealing to for these supernatural acts. So the universe works exactly as you say the universe works. Christians are just saying, well, the God who made this universe, You know, he can do things whatever he wants with his universe, i.e., miracles or supernatural stuff. You can set that aside. But on paper, you don't have like billions of gods. Even in Hinduism, you don't have billions of gods. They say they do, but they mean God differently. So you've got like, they'll try to say it's some sort of weird trinity, like with Ganesh and Shiva and the other thing, whatever, the other thing. But it's like, when you look at it, it's like these are all like beings that are fighting for power, and each one is like a different makeup. And when you try to torture it to turn it into like the Christian idea of the Trinity, it falls short. And the closest we've came is like Zoroastrianism or the Babylonian one. Is that Zoroastrianism? But it's like basically you've got war. No, it's not. You have Tiamat and Marduk or whatever. Like they're equal things, equal creatures, and they're like kind of in this cosmic battle, like for salt water and fresh water. So tell me that's more coherent than the God of the Bible. But then I don't want to belabor it too much. I'll try to hurry. But the point I'm making is even when you get to Zoroastrianism, you still have equal beings. You have a duality, and it's about balance. So the Christian God is the only one that posits the idea that there is no other. There is an uncreated God that has no equal. There's not a different side or a different corner. This is one being that started everything. And when you say, well, that may not work with science or with this, like, we have the laws of the universe, but we have M theory that pretty much no one is going to deny. Well, M theory is still just a theory. So that speaks nothing about how this God can't exist beyond our dimensional understanding. So just to say that should give someone a huge hesitation before they pronounce, like, we know based on our universe this God can or this God can't. It's like we already are almost sure that M theory is real, and many people will go dimensions beyond, like 10 or 12 dimensions more than that, like the 11 that everyone agrees to. So to say that there can't be a God outside of that somehow, it just seems like that's not a very scientific way to say it.
So I mean, there's many definitions of God. The Abrahamic one is just one of many. The number of followers is completely irrelevant to it. You know, humanity has believed many different things. If it's by a popularity vote, when you go back in history, many things would have won the popularity vote in history that turned out to be wrong. So the number of followers is irrelevant. There's many different definitions and many different beliefs, many different gods. And but, you know, just when you look at the universe, you look at we don't know what happened before the Big Bang. We just don't know yet. It could be that something always existed. It could be that something came from nothing. It could be that it was sort of an edge or a type of a thing. We just don't know.
Is a creator God a possibility?
It's a possibility.
Thank you.
So I'm an agnostic atheist, right? So I believe that some form of light deism is a possibility. It's a possibility that before the Big Bang, there was some outside force or actor that in whole or in part was a contributor to the Big Bang. And if someone wants to hang a label on that and call that God and you know, do a bunch of kumbayas, then that's, I have no problem with that. But the idea of the Abrahamic God that, you know, the Big Bang happened 14 billion years ago. And
you see that in chat? Stuff says,
look,
he went from a hard atheist to agnostic atheist / deist to woohoo.
Couple thousand years, the man behind everything, you know, the power behind everything started to, just as people were writing down things for the first time, that, you know, they got it right the first time, and that in fact the mankind, which, you know, evolved from monkeys, which evolved from bacteria, you know, which came from under the ocean, but the man part was actually created in the image of the God that created the universe 14 billion years ago, and that you know, a Jew was born that was born of a virgin mother, and he walked on water, turned wine into water, died, and then came back to life, you know, and did everything for everyone, and was you know, David Copperfield on steroids. Well, I mean, you know, that part of the Abrahamic God is just beyond the pale. So it flies in the face of everything that we know about the universe. So that's why I give it a 0% probability.
Well, a couple things, and then yeah, I can kind of start winding down. Maybe I don't know about chatter. That may be too much today, but We'll talk to Michael in a second because I mean, you know, you could be Michael's demonic twin. Just kidding. I mean that, well, sincerely, but in a funny way. But whenever the way you keep saying Jew, you're gonna get some people side-eyeing you in a little bit. But anyways, so again, I think Michael will attest. Like, look, if the Christian view is correct, which is saying, look, this is what we believe. There is a God that created everything that exists. He can do anything he wants. So then, like, if people are going to criticizing, like, well, don't you know Noah's Ark doesn't have the buoyancy to float? A Jew born of someone, you know, doing David Copperfield stuff, and then act like that's absurd. Let the Christian help you. If you want some criticism for the Christians, just focus on the biggest thing we believe that you would say is crazy. That there is a God that began everything, that created everything, and can do anything. That's the playing field on what you want to criticize Christians for. Because if you want to say, like, do you really think a snake can talk? From the God who created literally everything and can do everything? Sure. If he wants a snake to talk, a snake's going to talk. Did he give that specific snake the required vocal ability to speak and the voice box? Did it sound like the voice was coming from him, around him, out of his ears? I don't know. But the point is, if he wants something to happen, it's going to happen. So if he wants Jesus to walk on water, Jesus is going to walk on water. Like, it's not a big thing. So to kind of critique the Christian on one of these much lesser, like according to our understanding, can't happen, may seem absurd, but to criticize the Christian about these things, that's like the wrong game, the wrong field. It's like, go to the big thing, which we'll just have to disagree on. You know, that is God exists and can do everything. Michael, would you like to weigh in on that? I know you usually say something like, well, if the Christians are right, then, you know, all bets are off, or I don't know. Do you have thoughts, Michael?
Well, yeah, I mean, I would say that, like, if it is the case that what you believe is true, then yeah, then none of those things, then anything in the Bible is child's play, right? But I've said this many times before, the value in a claim lies in its falsifiability, right? And if a claim can't be falsified, then it's not worth serious consideration.
Sure.
And the Christian God can't be falsified.
Well, you know that's falsifiable, what you just said. What you just said is falsifiable. Like, the Bible literally says in our text, the resurrection is what it would take to falsify it. So, you know, if someone can say the resurrection never happened and give credible evidence, then it's not like something Christians had to deduce from Scripture. Paul literally wrote it, and it's in our Bible. It says, if the resurrection didn't happen, please feel sorry for Christians. We are to be pitied because we suck. So, I mean, if you could falsify the resurrection, that's how you falsify Christianity.
So the problem is that, so the book contains the claim, right? So the claim is what has to be supported, not falsified, right? Like we can't prove that there aren't leprechauns, but that doesn't mean we have a good reason to believe leprechauns exist, right?
Well, sure, but how long is falsifiability on the table? So, like, when Paul wrote this and Paul said this, like, he preached this message far and wide. So all the Christians, all the non-Christians, all the people like Paul previously who are rounding up and murdering Christians, Pontius Pilate, you know, Caiaphas, the high priest, like all these people who hated Christians, they all knew this. Like, that's why they put multiple guards outside the tomb, you know, put a giant stone in front of it. So how long do we need to be able to falsify it? And I would say during the first century and during the time it happened, like, this is their time to shine. Like, you know, they tried to say robbers came and stole it. That was their plan, all this other stuff. They paid people off. Sure, these are the claims in there, but do we think people weren't having this conversation, like, back then? Of course they were. That's how these narratives got in the book. People were saying this stuff then. So if they could have falsified it, it was in their best interest to stop Christianity in its tracks, because this, among all the other religions of the time, and all the other, you know, people saying they were messengers of God and stuff like that, this was the one that was taking off. It was in the political will of Rome, of Judaism, of the Pharisees, all the opponents of Christianity. It was absolutely in their will, in their best interest to silence Christianity and falsify this, yet for all their efforts, the political machine, they could not falsify it. So then does that mean we still need to be able to falsify that thousands of years in the future? Or can we say, well, no, it could have totally been falsified right then, and no one was able to do it. However, I still think you could falsify it today through, I don't know, some way. But I would say that, like, they had their chance to falsify it, and they couldn't because they were inept. No one would say that. They had Roman power. They had the temple security. They had all kinds of military might. So it's not like they were powerless. Maybe God didn't want them to because God's real. I don't know. Well, I do know, but
See, this breaks on a different thing, right? Because you have to take the Bible at its word for what it says, right? But other things that are questionable, right? Is the idea that Jesus was buried in the tomb of Joseph of Arimathea, right? So that's one thing. Whereas that's completely uncommon for the time, right? If you were crucified, in the first century by the Romans, you were just chucked in a mass grave, right? So the fact that they went to this place that nobody really knows where it is, and and you found this body which probably wouldn't have been there in the first place, and then the claims are so like Paul says he saw the risen Jesus, but he didn't really say he saw him bodily, right? So we're talking about a story that was written down by somebody who never actually met Jesus.
Right.
So then you have to believe the story of the road to Damascus, where again he doesn't say he saw Jesus.
Michael, you're a better fair atheist than this. Tell us of all the other accounts of people seeing the bodily
Right.
Jesus.
Sure, yeah. So we have the Bible, which claims it was seen by certain people, then to the disciples, then to the 12, and then to 500 others. But that's an account written by one person in the Book of Acts, right? You don't have 500 individual accounts or 5,000 accounts. Then you might
accounts.
really have something. And the other thing is what's really problematic about about the gospel story, right? Especially around the crucifixion. And we've talked about this before. The Bible says that at the time of the crucifixion, that there was a supernatural darkness, that there was a terrible earthquake, all these things, and the first century is a very, 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 very well documented period of time. And yet no one else, like these things were so monumental that no one else wrote them down. And that's problematic when the book says these things happened, and yet for a time very, very well documented, it isn't written any. If there was, so like if Pliny, for example, had written around this time, like independent writings.
I'm gonna need to respond.
I'm just saying, like if Pliny had written down, hey, there was this earthquake and all kinds of other stuff, and this also written in the Bible, that was wow. All of a sudden there'd be a strong point that we would have to more seriously address.
Okay, so I think this kind of shows some bias. Whenever you say if they were all writings, well, actually, I mean independent writings, meaning totally not the Bible, which literally was all independent writings by different people who it was all about the same subject, so it eventually got compiled in the same book, and we act like we can't use that because they're totally not independent writings, even though literally they were all independently written by independent authors. It was just all concerning the subject matter of Jesus, so they ended up in the same book. So you can absolutely, a good faith actor can be like, yes, these are writings. It would have been nice if it was by a, non-Jesus follower, Roman, or Pharisee scholar. Like, you could say that, but to say these aren't independent writings, they absolutely are. And I think more so, no one challenged them. Any of these people could have challenged them. Again, this is like the political machine. You've got Rome, you've got Judaism, you've got the Pharisees. Every power and might, Christians did not have anything. They were like second-class citizens. They did not have any power or any might. All they had is, I guess, the truth and God. But physically, they didn't have power and war and might and standing. So anyone, why didn't they even fabricate it? Someone could have lied and said everything you just said, Michael. They could have been like, no, these people claim they saw Jesus. They're liars. We overheard a meeting and they were all saying how they were going to start this conspiracy to keep their myth alive. Nobody even wrote it true or false. Anyone could have done that. So I think, if anything, that's more credibility for the New Testament accounts. And you said Acts. Don't forget Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. These are 5, if you count Acts, independent writings by independent authors that then talk about many more sightings, like you were talking about in Acts. So Jesus appears to multiple people, not just the writers, the whole disciples. And then in Acts, he ascends to heaven, and lots of people see it. And Paul, again, go back with me 2,000 years, says, at the time of this writing, many of these people who saw him are still alive. Meaning, if you question this account, a lot of these people are still alive. Go ask them. And undoubtedly, there was some Michaels in the audience, maybe wearing some robes and had some camels. You would have been like, I don't know about this. I'm going to go ask these people. Maybe after 200 or 300 eyewitnesses, assuming you were that committed, they're like, yeah, man, we saw Jesus. Yep, Jesus up in the sky. Yep, he flew away. You're like, wow, I guess I guess this happened. Maybe I'll be a Jesus follower now. And then you said Joseph of Arimathea. I don't have a problem. No one has a problem saying this is uncommon. And it addresses the uncommonality. So it says Joseph, this guy from Arimathea, asked for Jesus' body. Well, that's uncommon for a crucified guy to be buried in a tomb. Why would that happen? Oh, well, this guy asked for it. Well, that's uncommon. Why would he ask for it? Because he was a follower and had compassion and respect for him. So, yes, it is uncommon, and it explains the uncommonality. Like, the guy was a follower. He wanted to show him respect. He wanted to give him a tomb. So that's how that happened. I mean, maybe if one Barabbas or one of the other guys who were crucified with Jesus would have had followers or a club, someone would have asked that for him. But that's not the case. There was one other point. You made 3. I've got 2 of them. Do you remember the third one? Sorry, you talked a lot, and it was hard to remember everything to respond to. Maybe that's good enough for now. But Jeff, I'll give you the final thought, and if you leave it in the form of a question and I have to respond, we'll be here all day. But if you could just make a final thought, we can go ahead and end. And it was nice to meet you, though.
I won't ask my question. Well, I won't ask the question. I'll just give the thought, which is that if an all-perfect, all-knowing, all-powerful God, created this world, then, he's just a complete cocksucker.
Okay, well, how do I not respond to that? So, I would just point you quickly to Joshua 24. That means you'll have to open a Bible. I don't know if it'll give you burns or something. But if you open a Bible to Joshua 24, there are people that, I guess they were believers in God because they had empirical, testable, repeatable evidence of God over and over and over through the journey in the wilderness and from then on. So these are people who had empirical evidence, so they did believe in God. But they kind of shared a little bit of your sentiment. And they got to a place, and they were grumbling, and they're like, well, yeah, God fed us from heaven because we saw it. We can't deny it, but it wasn't good. It kept us alive and gave us nourishment, but it wasn't what we wanted. And God did this, and he's making us walk a long time. So they were complaining. So Joshua gets to a point and stops them and says, look, if it seems bad, or he even says evil, he says, if it seems evil for you to serve this God, and I imagine you would say, if I believe this God, then he is what you said, you would be kind of in this camp. Well, they would have stoned you for saying that, but they were the closest thing in your camp without being stoned. And Joshua's like, look, if it seems evil for you to serve this God, then go serve an actual evil God who's commanding you to sacrifice babies to Baal or Moloch and burning them alive. Go serve something that's really evil, or serve nothing. Be essentially an atheist. Go serve nothing at all. But for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. So if someone truly reads the Bible from cover to cover, and not in a way like IHateGod.com, but if you read the Bible without hate reading it, just read it. And I would say, as a Christian, I'd be like, yes, pray to this God. And be like, God, I know I'm supposed to not brainwash myself or whatever, but the point is, no one can come to God unless you have an amount of faith. I think the bar is very low. I think it's pretty obvious. But if someone is sincerely seeking, they're like, you know what? God of the Bible, these Christians tell me to pray. They tell me to ask you for help. I'm trying to be sincere. I'm trying to suppress my bad feelings, if you exist, that I would have, and this bad taste in my mouth because of all the stuff I think I know about you. But, I'm going to read this Bible. Can you please show me some stuff? Help me understand this. And let us know what happens. And if you come away with your ideas, then I guess we just disagree.
Well, the only Bible that I have in my library is the Jefferson Bible, which I believe all Americans should read. So I will do that. I will read the Jefferson Bible from start to finish. It's an amazing document that makes me so proud to be an American. You can't even believe it. But for me, all we really need is the golden rule. We won't be able to agree on much more than that, and everything else is just very very subjective and silly, but we can live by the golden rule and all unite as humans based on our humanity. And thank you very much for having me today, Steph and Nate and Michael.
Well, sure. I think the humanity part. Steph, are you going to come off mic from your being indoctrinated in your training class?
Yes, I'm on a 10-minute break right now, or a 5-minute break or something, first of all. Second of all, I'm not letting anyone up. Is that the way you want to keep that, or do you want me to...
Well, no, because I have to go.
Oh, all right, okay. I haven't been. Yeah, the Jefferson Bible is like a horrific, abysmal shame, and it's amazing that God blessed America at all after that. So I wouldn't. We're not proud of that horrific abomination. First of all, yeah, that's all I heard you say, and all we need is the golden rule. I mean, yeah, I don't even. These are just ideas that we would utterly and completely reject. Right? This is
Well-
just the antithesis of Christianity.
Well, yeah, and I mean everyone. I like trying to find a polish something you said there. I mean, all agree is I don't know humanity or do something good. Sure. If you're not going to believe in a god, at least follow some sort of code of ethics so you don't murder me and my family while we sleep. And I guess that's good enough to be neighbors. But everyone effectively has a Jefferson Bible. If you don't know what that is, the way to know you have a Jefferson Bible is basically grab a Bible and start reading it. And when you see anything supernaturally remotely, just rip out that page and scream and go to the next page, and then you will have a Jefferson Bible. But I would say about the golden rule, if you go to the Bible for a golden rule and act like you've achieved something, I'm kind of sorry for you. Like, you can get the golden rule from like Chinese wisdom. Just be a Buddhist. I mean, it's awful for your soul, but you'll get like good natural philosophy. But
I didn't say I got it from the Bible. I didn't make that attribution.
Oh, okay, that's fine, then good. But there's lots of people who do, and they're like, well, I don't believe the supernatural fairy tales, but I like Jesus for, his earthly wisdom. His earthly wisdom is just what's common among pretty much everyone else. I mean, Solomon had it. Yes, he was blessed by God. We believe. You don't, but in the story, Solomon had a lot of earthly wisdom. Lots of philosophers have earthly wisdom. But the big claim to fame of Jesus is there is a spiritual world. He is God. He is the origin of life. And the supernatural stuff, like there is death, hell, the grave, there's sin, there's forgiveness for these sins. Like all this stuff, the main thing Jesus preaches about is the thing that other philosophies don't touch. So the fact that other philosophies come to the same conclusion about good moral stuff, I believe it's because we're all created in the image of a God with some sort of God-given moral compass, whether we acknowledge it or not. That's how we're able to come up with things like that. And you may say evolve over time into good societies or whatever. But I mean, if you don't believe the supernatural stuff of Jesus, you may say something like, well, he's kind of like Kanye West. Like, he'll make some good points every now and then, but then he goes crazy. So if you just believe Jesus is like a good teacher with some natural wisdom, you should be like, he's like Kanye.
He is like Kanye, and I'm honored that people worship a Jewish man as a god. I mean, it's funny to me, but it's at the same time honoring to me as well. So, but yeah, Kanye, very similar character.
Just for the record, the golden rule is from the Bible, so you can't be like, I believe the golden rule and it's not from the Bible. James, go Google etymology of the golden rule. Just go ahead.
Well, anyways, while you do that, yeah, thanks for being here, Steph. I don't know if you get done at 11, I'm not going to do chatter unless you're there too, because I'm kind of running out of steam. So if you're there, if you want to do it, let us know. Let me know. And oh yeah, hang on, Steph. You're apparently good with technology, I hear. Can you drop the link to the chatter Ask a Christian thing so people can find us?
Yes, sorry, I was typing in the chat. Okay, but I didn't catch on chatter how to link to the house. Hold on. Let me see if I can find that out.
If I can do it first, you've failed us.
No, I got it. Ooh, am I the owner of the Ask a Christian house? Okay, hold on.
Probably, because I'm
there we
bad
go.
at my job.
Copy
Are you the
link.
owner?
I think I might have set it up first.
Wait, what? No, then you're doing the wrong one. There's already an Ask a Christian.
Hold on, here.
What have you done, woman? No, I'm the owner.
Okay. Click that link at the top. Tell me if that goes to the right place.
Wait, did you send it? Wait.
The link at the top.
I'm not even in Clubhouse. Hold on.
I'm pretty
Sorry,
sure that's
everyone.
the right thing.
Give us a moment. Well, does it say you're the owner?
I don't know. I
You know,
can't
at this
tell.
point, you can probably own it. I don't even care.
Oh, Leah's been posting in there.
Oh. I don't know how to do any of this.
View group info.
Anyways, thank you
Oh
all
no,
for
you
being
are the
here.
only owner. Okay, yeah, it is.
We
That's
are
the right one.
Okay, great. We are done for today as soon as we figure this out. So yeah, click the thing at the top if you guys want to find us on Chatter. We are hopeful to migrate over there exclusively, but I'm still waiting for some tech stuff to get worked out so I can properly record this just like I am now. So by the way, if you want to see yourselves on YouTube, youtube.com/@questionsaboutchristianity, no spaces.
Wait, you lost Ask a Christian YouTube?
Yeah.
What?
I'm telling you, I'm bad at this.
How did you lose that?
Guys, I'm just gonna I'm gonna need therapy if I keep telling this sad story about how. Okay, so the quick thing in the
No,
last.
we knew about the website. How did you also lose the YouTube?
It's all connected because I decided to implode and start over, so I was trying to migrate stuff except the main account I was using. I was using single sign-ons to everything. So instead of just I always, as a rule, did username or email and password to sign into all these different things. But recently, when I got my website, I started using the sign in with Google, and the email account that I used to single sign on was the one that I'm like, you know what? I don't need this anymore. I don't use this anymore. And as soon as it's asked me 5 times, it's like, are you sure you want to delete it? You can't recover. You can't restore. Are you sure? Are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm not using this for anything. I only use this for, and I hit it and I'm like, oh wait, I use that for everything. I'm like, oh no. I'm like, wait, did I break this? Did I break this? Yep, everything's broken. So yeah. The moral of the story is I'm right about God. I'm wrong about technology. Okay, so everyone, yes, click that link at the top. I'll wait just a minute. We're hoping to migrate to Chatter as soon as they... If you want to see... I don't even know what's happening in chat. I'm going to have to watch this later. Because we can do that on YouTube and here. Alright, that's enough time. Everyone, Jeff, it was good to meet you. Caleb, sorry we can't get to you. Take care, everybody. Have a good rest of your day. See you tomorrow. Alright. I don't know. I think that went well. I mean, maybe not as pushback as maybe not as pushbacky as I would have liked to have been. But, it's a new guy. So, trying to be gentle and respectful. Did you see chat? The little bit of chat I glanced at was like, kick this demon, kick this atheist, arr! I'm like, inside I feel that way, but outside, let's be Christ-like. I mean, be angry, do not sin. I wasn't really angry, but I mean, I think, it belies people's bias when repeatedly you mention their bias. It's like, look, dude, it makes it seem like you're not just a run-of-the-mill, loving, good-natured atheist who just disagrees with Christianity, when at every chance you, super throw it in the mud. You're like, this is stupid, this is absurd, you people are brainwashed and crazy. I'm like, that sounds like you have more attachment to this than you would like people to believe. And even after I point this out many times, he still does it. I don't know. I mean, whatever, doesn't matter. Anyways, everyone, tell your friends, share, subscribe, until I run this one. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time.